Hello fellow brawlers, I'm KairosTime and it is time to brawl. Today we're going to be going over Season 3, Week 1 for Power Play, where I actually show you the best brawlers for every single map in Power Play using competitive pick rates and win rates sent to me by BrawlStats.com. Now for the first Power Play season, I got just under 1,000 Power Play points, Power Play trophies with randoms, using the suggested brawlers in my Power Play cheat sheet. And I got over 1,100 points, once again with randoms, in Season 2 by doing the same thing. So no matter what you guys do not play your Power Play matches without checking this cheat sheet first. And this is Week 1 of Season 3, so make sure you subscribe for Week 2 of Season 3 next week as well. Now the feedback that I got the last time I did a Power Play cheat sheet video was that you guys want more depth, you want more strategy, and you want more details on which star powers you should use for each map. So that's exactly what we're going to experiment with for this video to see if you guys like it more than you like the last one. So please let me know. Now, rather than covering every map for the entire season, we're going to cover the maps from week 1 so that I can cover each specific strategies more in depth. Now, I was a little slow in getting this video ready, so I'm not actually going to talk about day 1 since it's already done. But if you're curious, here are my recommendations for day 1. Now, if you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, or you're a frequent viewer of the channel, you probably have already seen this, but just in case, I guess here it is. With that said, guys, let's go ahead and start with day 2, Slalom Slam in Brawl Ball. Now, my first 3 recommended brawlers are Meteor Rush El Primo, Shell Shock Shelly, and Healing Winds Sandy. Now, it's important to note that just because a brawler is first doesn't actually mean that they are the best, okay? I'm sorting them primarily by pick rates. So I put them into these different groups of, very low through very, very high. And then secondarily, I sort them by win rates. El Primo and Shelly have very high pick rates, but they actually have the lowest win rates out of the 9 recommended brawlers for this map. Now, this is partly due to the fact that more players are playing them, so the win rates are more average, closer to 50%. However, I also think that this is because I think there are better options than them to choose from if you're a very skilled player. Okay, now if you play El Primo, your goal should be to charge up your super and use it to primarily assassinate enemy brawlers, okay? We're not focusing on getting goals 100% of the time. You want to focus on assassinating brawlers and then use that opportunity to score a goal while recharging your super. Obviously, if an opportunity to score comes up immediately, Primo should focus on scoring that goal. But most of the time, killing is the best way to create those goal opportunities. So El Primo, charge your super, use it to kill first. Shelly should be played as a defensive tank killer. As soon as the match starts, pick a target like Mortis, El Primo, or Daryl, or whoever has the ball, and focus on them as hard as you can so that they can't get anywhere near your goal. Then, of course, use your super as a stop all defense, or to open up the enemy goal to make it easier for your team to get a goal. Now, Sandy should be played primarily as a control brawler, focusing on charging up your super and using that super to gain the advantage for your team. Next, we have Healing Shade Terra, Bear With Me Nita, and DeCapo Poco, all with high use rates. Now, Terra is your opportunity creator, Nita is your defensive stopper, and Poco is your control support brawler, who should focus on keeping his teammates alive while also dealing damage with his attack. Now, in Brawl Ball, that opportunity happens really frequently for Poco to actually use DeCapo and deal damage and heal a teammate at the same time. And that honestly makes DeCapo one of the strongest star powers in the mode, especially if you have a couple of tankier brawlers to pair up with Poco. Lastly, guys, we have Fertilized Spike, Rosa with either star power, and Protective Pirouette Carl. Now, Spike is your defensive stopper, Rosa is your opportunity creator and goal scorer, primarily like the ball carrier, and Carl is a hybrid support and opportunity creator. Now, personally, my top 3 picks are going to be Sandy, Terra, and Poco, or El Primo, Terra, and Poco, depending on whether or not I've got a solid El Primo. Possibly also Daryl, honestly. I know he wasn't on the list, but he's actually has a little bit of an underrated brawler and would be very solid if you have a skilled Daryl player. Up next, guys, is day 3, Dune Drift in Solo Showdown. Now, there's a chance that this will actually be Duo Showdown, but the brawler picks wouldn't actually be too different. Regardless, the win rates and the pick rates I'm going to be showing are from Solo Showdown, so you're aware of that. The 3 brawlers with the highest pick rates in the competitive meta are Invisiheal Leon, Extra Toxic Crow, and Band-Aid Shelly. all of which have a high pick rate. By the way, I should mention that star powers aren't actually based off of stats. They're actually just based off of the star powers that I would pick for a given map. I think that the suggestions are really solid, but in most cases, the brawler that you choose is going to be more important than the star power that you play with. There are obviously some exceptions to that rule, but you get the idea. Now, both Leon and Crow use their long range to poke brawlers from a distance and wait for the right time to use their super. Now, in Showdown, you're going to do better by using these assassin-like supers to actually survive rather than like assassinate most of the time or get kills, since your primary goal is to survive in Showdown. A lot of the times you want to avoid making those risky plays, and once it's you and just one other opponent, that's when you can use your supers to finish the enemy player off. Or if there are times when you know that you can use your super to successfully run away, but most of the time, honestly, in Showdown, you're better off just trying to survive than go for the kills. Now, Shelly should focus on dodging shots from long-range brawlers and utilize Band-Aid to keep herself alive, only picking fights when she knows that she can win. Next up is Coiled Snake Mortis, Piper with either star power, and Extra Life 8-Bit. Now, Mortis should be played as a careful assassin, focusing on surviving before killing, just like all the assassins, unless, again, you're confident that you can get a kill against a low HP brawler and grab their power cubes. Piper should keep her distance and wait to use her super to escape if needed, and 8-Bit, despite having a very low pick rate, has an insanely high win rate of 70.9%, not only because he has high DPS, he has high HP, he has long range, but he also has his Extra Life star power, which is just so incredibly strong. It's arguably game-breaking OP in Solo Showdown. Now, lastly, we have Mama's Hug Pam, Protective Pirouette Carl, and Steel Hoops Daryl, all with very high win rates despite their low pick rates. Now, none of these brawlers are very flashy or particularly fun to play, but they have such good survivability that it makes it very forgiving if you happen to make some mistakes. Out of all of the brawlers for this map, I'm going to be playing Extra Life 8-Bit for two reasons. First off, the map is very long range, which is really ideal for 8-Bit. And second, 8-Bit has a massively unfair advantage in Solo Showdown with his Extra Life star power. I'm honestly really surprised more people don't play him in Solo Showdown, because his win rate is absolutely justified. It is so good. If you don't have Extra Life 8-Bit, I would go with either Crow or Pam. Up next is Day 4, which is Shooting Star in Bounty. And the top three brawlers are Piper with either star power, Automatic Reload Tick, and Brock with either star power. Now, Piper actually has a very, 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 very high pick rate. She was chosen 10 times more than average, and so I gave her a golden frame to distinguish her from Tick and Brock, who have just, only have a very, very high pick rate. Now, Shooting Star is all about range, which all three of these brawlers are really the best at. In the beginning, Tick should go into the center where he's going to have that wall to protect him, and Piper and Brock should split up to cover the left and the right lanes. Typically, it's better for Piper to go over to the right lane, which allows Brock to then cover the left lane, and then either Piper or Brock, once they get their super charged up, they should try and focus on getting rid of the enemy center wall, which should really open up that lane. Now, if your center wall gets opened, Tick should actually swap with whoever is in the left lane so that he has another wall that can help protect him from a distance. This is going to give your team a massive range advantage and make it a lot harder for the enemy to get kills. Now, up next is Coiled Snake Mortis with a very, very high pick rate, Balls of Fire Penny with a high pick rate, and Spirit Slap Jean with a normal pick rate, but a very high win rate. Now, Mortis should only be played if you're a skilled assassin and you are good at targeting one brawler at a time when they do not have cover from their teammates. Too many Mortis players try and just rush in, and they seem to try and get kills regardless of their HP, which is not a smart way to play Mortis. You want to focus on surviving first in Bounty and getting kills second, and that means that as Mortis, you have to be very careful balancing those two. Penny can be used well with her turret hiding behind a wall, whether that's in the center wall or the wall over in the left, or if you push the enemy team up a little bit further, you can put it behind the wall on the right. And really, this gives your team a massive advantage if you can actually make that happen. Now, Jean has the range to keep up with Piper, Tick, and Brock, which allows him to be played very well as well. And that's especially with his Spirit Slap star power, which just increases that damage overall, which is just so good. Now, lastly, we have Healing Winds Sandy, Boosted Booster 8-Bit, and Steel Hoops Daryl, all with very low pick rates, but justifiably high win rates. These are definitely more niche picks, and while they can be used, honestly, I wouldn't pick them and play with them with randoms. I'd only pick them if you didn't have the option of playing with my other recommended brawlers, because they're just, they can be played, but they're kind of like third best options, which isn't ideal. Up next, we have Day 5, Sure Shot in Lone Star. Starting off is Smoke Trails Leon, Coiled Snake Mortis, and Carrion Crow. That's right. Now, both Leon and Mortis are played about 7 times more than the average brawler, so they actually get a golden frame, and rightly so. Leon specifically is incredibly dominant in the mode with a 68% win rate. That is absolutely insane, especially because his pick rate is so high. I think that most players should actually probably play Leon, but you could also play Mortis as well. Honestly, later on I'll talk about Sandy. Sandy's also really fantastic. Now, the trick to doing really well in Lone Star is to focus on surviving most of the time, so that you don't have to spend too much time respawning and walking back to where the action is hot. That travel time just will kill your score so much. Now, as an exception, if you see multiple brawlers in a hot spot and you're pretty certain that you can clean them all up, or if you see high bounty targets, that's when it's a little bit more worth it for you to kill somebody, and that justifies dying if it comes to that. Now, up next, we have Ambush Piper, Spirit Slap Jean, and Shell Shock Shelly. Piper has a very, very high pick rate, but she only has a 50.9% win rate because she's such an easy target against assassins like Leon and Mortis. You can do incredibly well with her though, but you have to have the skill, and you have to be able to know how to play around those assassin brawlers. Jean, however, has a very high win rate with a high pick rate as well, and he's actually incredibly good with Spirit Slap. With it, he can deal 5,100 damage with 3 shots, and that is enough to take out most of the best Lone Star brawlers, including Leon, who you're going to face off against a lot. Now, lastly, we have Rocket number 4, Brock, Carl with honestly either star power, and then Sandy with either star power as well. I'd say that Brock is okay, and both Carl and Sandy are very underrated. They're very excellent. My preferred brawler is actually Sandy, and it's incredibly easy to win in Lone Star with him because he has such great burst potential. Also, I feel like a lot of people aren't used to playing against Sandy, so they really underestimate how quickly he can take out your HP. Carl actually is a pretty decent counter against Leon, which is a reason to consider playing him. Up next, guys, is Day 6, Double Swoosh in Gem Grab. First up is Plant Life Rosa, Jean with either star power, and Healing Shade Terra. Although Black Portal is also a really good star power for Terra as well. All 3 of these brawlers have very high pick rates and have about a 60% win rate, which is very impressive. Okay, with these 3 brawlers, Jean should play the center as a gem carrier, Rosa should go into the right lane and try and control the enemy bush, and Terra should go into the left lane with the goal of preventing enemy aggro brawlers from entering your bush, as well as using the bush as cover to throw down a super against the enemy gem carrier. That is like such a good way to play this map. Now, next is Decapo Poco, Circling Eagle Bow, and Extra Toxic Crow, all with very high pick rates. Both Bow and Poco are center gem carriers, though Bow can also be played as a left line defense, and honestly also a right lane offense as well, with the help of his Circling Eagle vision. I wouldn't actually recommend playing him without Circling Eagle in most cases, unless you're really skilled. Now, although Crow isn't typically an aggro brawler, he's typically played over on the right lane, where he can mark enemy brawlers and that are hiding in the bush and push them back pretty easily. Lastly is Healing Wind Sandy, Fertilized Spike, and Bad Karma Ems. Now, Sandy can be played on either the left or the right lane so long as he throws his super into the center, which is going to help bridge that gap between your bush and the enemy bush, and it's just, it's so good. Now, Spike can also be played on either the left or the right lane, though he's typically best in the right lane. just as long as you don't overextend yourself. He doesn't play right lane like an aggro brawler. He plays it like a control brawler that is just, he's so good at preventing the enemy players from actually getting in there. So don't overextend yourself with Spike over in the right lane. And then of course, Ems is best played in the left lane where she can burst down an unsuspecting gem carrier when, you know, they're least expecting it. Then lastly, guys, we have day 7, which is Outrageous Outback in Duo Showdown, I think. Once again, there's a chance that it's actually going to be solo showdown, but the brawler picks would still be very similar. Also, as a reminder, Duo Showdown's average win rate is closer to 40% than 50% like most modes, because only first and second place count as a win, while third, fourth, and fifth count as a loss. That averages to a win rate of, 40%. Starting off is Ambush Piper, Extra Toxic Crow, and Invisi-Heal Leon. Outrageous Outback is an outrageously open map, okay, with plenty of bushes to hide in, making long-range brawlers really ideal. A very typical comp would be either Piper with Crow or Piper with Leon, with the goal of Piper keeping her distance, staying alive, and attacking from a distance, and either Crow or Leon making assassination attempts to get more power cubes from enemy brawlers. And sometimes even if they die, it's fine, because then Piper gets those power cubes, and it makes her such a lot more of a force to be reckoned with. After those three are Band-Aid Shelly, Coiled Snake Mortis, and Rocket number 4 Brock. I don't actually like Shelly for this map so much because it's so wide open, and but she does have a high pick rate, so she did definitely get justified being placed on here. And also, Mortis can be pretty solid replacement for Crow or Leon as an assassin, while Brock is a solid replacement for Piper as a long-range damage dealer. I definitely would not say that he's as good, but he can be played if you have the right skill. Now lastly, we have Jean with Either Star Power, Extra Life 8-Bit, and Carl once again with Either Star Power. Now despite these brawlers having a lower pick rate, they actually have a very high win rate, and I definitely think that they are solid options, especially 8-Bit, guys. I really cannot believe more people are not playing 8-Bit in Showdown, since Extra Life is just downright unfair. 8-Bit with Piper or 8-Bit with Crow is such a good combo, and it's probably most likely what I'm going to be playing for this map. And that is the first week of Season 3 for Power Play, guys. I really want to know what you thought about this cheat sheet versus like the first cheat sheet that I did, where I basically just briefly went over the best brawlers for each map for an entire 2-week season and didn't really go into much depth. Did you guys like the increased amount of depth? Did you dislike the increased amount of depth, or like what that really comes down to is how long this video ended up being, and the fact that it's going to be another video next week for the second week of Season 3. So yeah, you guys should really please let me know. Like I said in the last video, these types of videos take a long time to put together, and it's not worth it to me if you guys aren't watching it. I mean, really, I'm a YouTuber. I have to make videos based off of what you guys want to watch, and if you guys aren't watching it for long enough, I can't justify doing these types of videos. So please let me know if you like this more or less than the last time. Oh, also, you can share it with your friends if you found it helpful. That'd be great as well. For now, guys, this is KairosTime ticking by, and we will see you in Brawl Stars.